X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I'm the bad boy of X-Men podcasting, Zach Jenkins. Adam, how you doing, buddy?
Is it still our Attitude Era? I hear it is.
Hold on. In the distance, over yonder hills, do you hear it?
Hell
do you hear
yeah.
hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
I hear hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Welcome to Battle of the Atom. Hi, people. Someone sent a very nice note saying that they were enjoying the Boditude era, and I disliked that they called it that.
Well, that's what it's called. So, we'll
let the wiki writers, we'll let the historians decide this one.
Yes, we will. And we are, of course, still just riding the good vibes from last week's Emma Frost episode, but no Emma in this episode because we are going to some multiple different we're dimension hopping this episode.
The thing is, Adam, multiverses are so hot right now.
So hot. There's
a flashpoint going on.
It's true.
There is a everything everywhere all at once. Another Spider-Verse is going on. They've tried to do a Spider-Verse in live action, and people think it's good because it referenced a lot of memes and actually was a pretty terrible movie. There was a multiverse of madness. There are so many.
I actually like the Spider-Man one. I know you hate it, but
have you watched it again since the theaters?
I'm not worried about revisiting anytime soon. But
I fell asleep while my wife was watching it. I straight up took a nap while my wife was watching it, and I was like, I'm good. I mean, William Dafoe, you can't save this one.
A lot of these movies don't really hold up to scrutiny on rewatch,
Very few of them are.
Very few.
I'll say the only one I've rewatched in the last little bit has been Wakanda Forever, and that's because my son wanted to watch it, and we don't take him to the movie theaters all that often.
Sure.
Especially for long movies. And I watched it, it's like, has some flaws. Pretty good movie.
There's some great stuff in there,
Pretty solid. It's a movie. But multiverses, so hot.
Very hot. Very hot. I don't think we're ever going to see an MCU Exiles because it's just, there's no consistent cast.
You say that, but there was a hot minute where Bling was pushing up to be an A-list X-Men.
Bling was in Days of Future Past.
Blink.
Not Bling.
Bling
Two different characters.
Bling for all that she wants to, and all that my son did vote for her for the X-Men vote last year.
Oh.
I will reveal that ballot. He was asking me a lot if Bling was going to win. And I said, well, buddy, Bling was not on a television show in the 80s. Blink with a K, so hot for a hot second. Days of Future Past, that movie where she was pretty cool. Her and Colossus did a portal.
Yeah.
Did a portal move from Portal.
Yeah.
That was the game Portal. The concept of creating a portal, and also they did moves from the game Portal, which was really fun. Also, she was in The Gifted, a show that neither of us have finished watching.
That's okay. I'm totally fine with that.
Folks, tell us if The Gifted is worth finishing. We won't do it, but tell us.
Obviously, Blink is the most constant character that goes through the Exiles, is usually the wearer of the Talus that transports them from dimension to dimension. And we have 3 different dimension hopping adventures for the Exiles this week.
With 3 different creators.
Yeah.
Creative teams.
So where are we starting and who requested this, Zach?
This was requested by Jerry Laley. Jerry went over to patreon.com/comicsxf, reached deep down into their hearts and pocketbooks and said, folks, here's a couple of coins. I'm going to toss them into your coffers. And I want you to talk about Chris Claremont and Paul Pelletier's first arc of Exiles, which is a wild thing. And if you want to be like Jerry, go do that stuff. We'll make a whole episode about the things that you want us to talk about. You're the paying audience, I guess. I guess this is what you want from this podcast. You want us to talk about Exiles. And here's the truth about Exiles, folks. We've been doing this for 5 some years, right? Like a while, a spell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
y'all know that we don't love Exiles, and I know there's folks out there that do. I know there's folks out there that Exiles was their thing, and I'm so happy for you folks. It's not mine. I don't think it's Adam's. Adam's, is it your thing?
I did enjoy a lot more than I disliked this week, so I'm ready to get into it.
I am ready to get into it as well, because the first story we have is Enemy of the Stars. It's Exiles 90 to 94, written by Chris Claremont with art by Paul Pelletier. I want to start by saying I think Paul Pelletier is a pretty good artist.
He's doing a great job. He kind of has
got
a little Alan Davis vibe to it, maybe a little Brian Hitch kind of feel.
That's exactly where I was riding with this. But hey, look, it's 2007. If you kind of look like Brian Hitch, you're right on the money. A little late, frankly, of the Hitch is the biggest thing in the world kind of train, but still, you're pretty on the money. And if you're doing a Chris Claremont book and you have Alan Davis going on in your art and the words cross timer appearing a lot, you know what? Okay,
sure. Why the heck not? And now, Zach, this is after they found out that bugs are run the Crystal Castle, right? That happened already.
The Crystal Palace. Yeah, that happened a while ago.
Right.
This is Chris Claremont saying, okay, well, I still have to do work because Exiles kind of fell off a lot for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And now Chris Claremont's like, I guess I'm going to do this weird book now.
Yeah. So the lineup of the team is Blink and Sabretooth and Morph. But we also have Morph is sidelined a little bit because
here's the thing about Morph right now. Adam, have you read the mega arc of Exiles World Tour? The arc that does in fact last through where is it? It's what happens right after the Beak Makes Friends arc.
No, but this is where Morph merges with Proteus, correct?
Yeah, it's their House of M tie-in. Exiles 69 all the way through 82.
Wow.
So
it's a long arc.
It's like a year of Exiles. They go to House of M, which is happening at the time, which I do think is a pretty good way to do a crossover. It's like the time where Al Ewing had to do a crossover with Civil War II in his book Contest of Champions. Instead of doing that, he did a crossover with Civil War I.
That's very Al Ewing.
Goes to the new universe, goes to 2099, goes to the Squadron Supremes universe, goes to Future Imperfect, goes to Heroes Reborn. Listen, it hits a lot of the big ones except for Age of Apocalypse, which frankly, Age of Apocalypse is constantly being hit on because Blink and Sabretooth and Morph are on this team.
Right, exactly.
It's a different Morph. Anyway, Morph dies and Proteus takes his place. But they do a Heroes Season 3 finale and brainwash him into thinking that he is just Morph.
Right. So it's still
spoilers for what I think is Heroes Season 3.
I never got that far.
I think they made. Did you watch Heroes?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Who didn't?
Kept coming back each season like a dang idiot.
I fell off. Better. I fell off after a certain point, like all of us did. They did, I believe, at the end of season 3. The politician brother, the senator brother, or whatever, died.
Yeah. Yep.
And they brainwashed Siler, and made him be the politician brother. I don't know how that plot resolved.
I think I remember that. Wow, that show was
what
terrible.
A weird show.
Yeah,
anyway,
so poorly written.
They stole that from Exiles.
Cool.
Borrowed it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they do that with. Listen, it's not like the most unique concept in the world.
I was going to say it's probably but
I'm sure there's like a classic sci-fi trope in this that I'm missing here because my point of reference is only things with the letter X in it. Anyway, Proteus is a morph now.
Right. And he's, at least at the start of this story, just wearing a little power dampener in a hospital bay. We're all inside the Crystal Palace Castle, whatever. Spidey 2099, also very hot right now. He's here. Long Shot
so
is
hot
here.
Right now.
And
Long Shot.
Sitting in the chair is Heather Hudson.
Sasquatch. She's been with the team for most of it, even if she's not an active player. Also on this team is Power Princess, Zara Sheldon, who Chris Claremont has no interest in this incredibly strong woman.
No, she's basically like, hey, I am a Squadron Supreme. I'm out of here, and leaves in like 3 pages. So
Chris
who does he
Claremont does not want to write Squadron Supreme Wonder Woman. I think that's
Yeah.
wild for him.
Yeah, but he's basically doing it so that what he can do is port over from New Excalibur, Psylocke.
Is it?
Yes, I looked it up. That is where she's coming from.
Listen, the late aughts Chris Claremont stuff all kind of blends with me, so I wasn't sure where in the timeline of Uncanny X-Men, New Excalibur, Exiles this falls, because I know Excalibur continues on because they do the Sword of the Braddock stuff.
Yep.
At the end of this. Okay, so yeah, that all makes sense actually.
Yeah.
Anyway, Psylocke's here. Our Psylocke.
She does not take a liking to AOA Sabretooth. Obviously, we all know Psylocke and Sabretooth hate each other, but this Sabretooth is kind of like, why you beating up on me, lady?
The problem with AOA Sabretooth is he's kind of like, they like him and they keep trying to break regular Sabretooth into AOA Sabretooth for a while.
Yeah.
Up until literally House of X, where they say, actually, let's put Sabretooth in a hole. We don't need him anymore.
Right.
And then they said, hey, how's he doing in that hole? And they made Sabretooth interesting. And it was a whole thing.
It's great.
It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing, Adam. That one wasn't even intentional.
See what you did there.
Okay. Anyway, more Chris Claremont stuff happens.
Yeah. Well, and this is okay. So we've already got one Claremontism, right? We've got two Claremont books. He's stealing a character from one he's writing and putting it into another that he's writing. And now we're going to get one of his other secret loves, which is messing around with Fantastic Four characters.
Not just messing around with Fantastic Four characters, mind you. We get messing around with Fantastic Four characters, which he loves. He did a run on Fantastic Four that I have not read and I will not read. It's just, I'm not going to.
It's okay. He likes to bring it back though. He's big on bringing it back.
I chuckle inside every time I know that Chris Claremont is bringing something back from his forgotten and frankly disliked Fantastic Four run. He also does another one of his favorite things, brainwashing so many characters. And a second layer of the brainwashing so many characters that he likes to do, brainwashing them into Nazis. That happens.
That's right, because the universe that they go to is, I looked this up, this is Earth 1720, the Hydra reality, which is led by Madame Hydra, who happens to be Sue Storm in a very revealing outfit.
Honestly, Sue, don't appreciate your politics here. Love your fashion.
Looking great.
Slaying, as the kids say these days.
Well, it's interesting you use the word slay, because amongst these mind-controlled people of the Hydra, not only do we have folks like Captain America to beat up on, but most importantly to this arc, we are fighting as a team Slaymaster.
Adam, do you care about Slaymaster?
Of course not. Slaymaster.
No one cares about Slaymaster.
As an editor's note for Excalibur issues, it is not a character anyone cares about, and yet here he is positioned as, oh, it's Slaymaster. What are we going to do?
I say this as a general fan of Captain Britain stuff, especially the Moore Davis, Delano, that whole era of stuff. No one cares about Slaymaster. Could have been literally anybody. He happened to be the one that took out Psylocke's eyes, and then Psylocke became the character that we, pay attention to.
Pretty sure that's why he's here, is just to traumatize.
It's just 100%. It's 100% to draw a parallel. I understand the thought of drawing the parallel between Slaymaster and Sabretooth in their relationship to Psylocke, because Claremont is obviously going to position Psylocke in the center of this whole thing. All that makes sense. It's not well executed.
It's just a lot of punch 'em ups, and it's not terrible. Slaymaster does present himself as a pretty formidable foe.
Listen, he is the master of slays.
Yeah.
Some say that's Santa Claus's job, but Slaymaster disagrees.
You're on fire, buddy.
This is what happens, Adam, when I'm staring down a very long flight to Juarez and do not want to deal with the reality of what my life has become. Folks, you are lucky we're getting an episode this week.
Some other interesting relationships that pop up in here. Sue is dating a brainwashed Wolverine, and Reed is just happens to be dating Elektra. Good times.
Yeah. Anyway, they have to kill Reed Richards because Reed Richards is going to something evil Hydra people in all of the universes. And then they fix it and the Talus sends them back.
Yeah, they don't have to kill Reed because Reed actually has a very clever plan that involves waking Valeria up, who I guess was kidnapped and put into like a Snow White sleeping chamber.
Which we don't think of it anymore. That is still also a Chris Claremont callback to his Fantastic Four run.
Yeah. Yep. So what Reed does is he convinces Madame Hydra that they're going to go take over the all of the universes, right? And instead just traps her inside the necklace and somehow manages to like, I guess he had already saved 5 million people inside the necklace and then he does a switcheroo. That part's a little confusing.
It's a whole thing. Listen, there's just... Hey, wait! Did you know that Chris Claremont called Valeria Richards, or I guess Valeria Von Doom, he gave her a superhero name, and do you know what he gave her as a superhero name?
I'm kind of scared. What is it?
Marvel Girl.
No.
Actually, frankly, fantastic codename for Valeria Richards. Like,
goodness.
Hook, line, sinker. That works really, really well for her.
Yeah. I think the other really confusing thing about this issue are the last two panels, because we're seeing our Psylocke kind of recover physically, but then the last two panels take place in another dimension, and it's another Betsy who then someone just comes up and like punches her to death, and it's
Slaymaster slays her because Slaymaster wants to slay all of the Betsies. It doesn't work well.
Don't like it.
I don't care for Exiles in general, and I don't think like there's not enough to this reality to like care about. And that's my general problem with a lot of Exiles stuff. It's either give me a deep focus on these characters and have the reality stuff be secondary. And in my mind, that's where Exiles works the best, when it's a tight focus on the team, which again goes against the general push of Exiles to kill off somebody every few issues to keep things interesting. Or give me just this wild reality. Like, either go all in on the world building or go all in on the characters. Don't give me half of a world building and very little characters, because I don't care about the Exiles otherwise. So you can't just like throw them in a thing and kind of play with your world and expect me to like pay attention to the Exiles comic you're writing.
I think that's fair. I did not hate this. I do think way too much time is spent at the top of the arc, like just having Sabretooth chase Psylocke around the desert and the palace. Like, you could probably could have condensed that to like not a full issue. If Chris Claremont is gonna go the everybody's a brainwashed Nazi route, this is way better than like New Mutants Forever, and Nova Roma.
This is better than New Mutants Forever. No one will argue that.
Yeah, and I do think there's some clever stuff happening here. I like this version of Sue Storm. I do like the group dynamics here between the Exiles. It's fine. I just do think that Claremont, and this happens a lot, he just gets sidetracked by the things that he loves. And he loves like these old Excalibur, Captain Britain stuff that
in 2007, no one was going to tell him
no. Nope.
No one was telling him no.
Nobody was maybe Slaymaster is not the person you want inserted to this story.
Chris, we're not sure that Slaymaster, I know you love him. We're not sure that Slaymaster's the right. What about Matsuo Suriyama?
Hey.
He's from the 90s. People remember him at least. You really want to do Slaymaster? We're doing Slaymaster? You know why we can't do... Oh, we're doing Slaymaster? Okay, we're doing Slaymaster.
Thank you, Chris. And,
should we rank this?
We should. Let's tell our lovely listeners about our wonderful giant size list.
It's been over 300 episodes. You know the gist here.
Mm-hmm.
We have been ranking every X-Men story from best to worst. 786 of them on our road to 800.
Crazy.
The best, House of X Powers of 10. The 100th best being Wolverine 48 to 50, the Shiva scenario. The 200th best being All New Wolverine, Enemy of the State 2. 300th best being Generations Phoenix and Jean Grey. 400th being The Submergence of Japan. 500th being The Tempest from Ultimate X-Men, also known as Stairs. Number 600 is Exiles 100. Number 700 is Pint Size X Babies Murderama. And 786, the worst X-Men story of all time. You know it, you love it. Say it with me now. It's 2099 World of Tomorrow. This is better than Exiles 100.
I think it's better than Exiles 100. That's at 600.
That at least puts it in the 500s.
Yeah, I think we're in the 500s, right? I mean, we've got
but it's 454. Stairs is better than this. So it's going to start with a 5 is where I'm thinking.
Yeah. So at 565 we have King Hyperion, and at 566 we have an arc that comes soon after that, A Blink in Time.
Both of those are better.
I think both of those are better. Then down at
Exiles
590,
8 to 10.
I think this might be better than that. That's
the Gladiator one.
Yeah,
that one's so much Mimic, and I don't care about Mimic.
Yeah, so I think we're in between those two, 566 and 598.
I would say this is not as good as Weapon X Force.
Yeah,
that's
fair.
That's at 582.
Okay,
is it better or worse than Exogenous from the Mark Guggenheim, the Shield Sword Space Lady X-Men arc?
That had some interesting art.
Exogenous is actually better than this.
Yeah, I think that's better than this, but I don't. Is this better than Betrayal in the Bermuda Triangle at 590?
Have you read Betrayal in the Bermuda Triangle?
Yeah, that's the one where they go to like the alternate dimension, right?
Well, I remember Stephanie Burt was on that episode, and I was like, was that during like the month and a half where I just had guests for a little bit?
No, I was on that episode, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I don't remember. Listen, I was thinking earlier today how we screwed up double ranking one episode from that one story from that time because we had the Storm Cyclops fight, and me and Sarah Century ranked that during the same period, and then you and me ranked it again differently. No. I was like, we should not make that mistake again. These are the things I think about when I'm on the road for 5 hours a day.
This is better than at 592, the exiled storyline between New Mutants and Kid Loki, Journey into Mystery.
Sure, but I'm going to put it below X-Men Second Coming Revelations Hellbound because that has more colons.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Yeah. It definitely has more colons. So
objectively
Exiles,
more colons.
Fight All the Stars, or what is this called?
Enemy of the Stars.
Enemy of the Stars. Not Enemy of the State. Enemy of the Stars.
No, but if one would call someone an enemy of this podcast,
an enemy as opposed to a friend of the show.
All I'm saying.
Yeah.
He hasn't come on this show. He's come on another X-Men podcast recently. Hasn't come on this show.
I see where you're going with this. All right.
It's okay. It's just Listen, here's the thing. Chuck Austin and I do not know each other exist. I know Chuck Austin exists. Chuck Austin doesn't know we exist. That's fine. We've not reached out to Chuck. I tried once, but I gave up after 5 minutes. And I was like, it's okay. You know what? He probably doesn't want to be bothered with this. We're talking about Chuck Austin comic, baby.
We are talking about it, and this is so weird. This is an Exiles follow-up to a Chuck Austin Uncanny X-Men arc, because this is an Exiles Uncanny X-Men crossover called Unnatural Instincts.
Written by Chuckles the Truckles Austin. Clayton Henry is doing the art. And Adam, we need to talk about Clayton Henry's art in this.
Yeah. Do we want to kind of give an overview of like why our good friends, the Exiles, are coming over to our other good friends, the Uncanny? Because the premise for this arc, which is Exiles 28 to 30, is pretty bonkers.
The premise, which I must be clear, don't overthink it. It doesn't make sense. This is a Chuck Austin comic. It's just like,
you mean
accept on face value and move forward.
So the explanation of the shape of Havoc's helmet as the nexus of all realities,
a thing that we explicitly, the one thing we know about Havoc's silly hat is that he didn't make that silly hat.
Right.
The living monolith made that silly hat. That's why the living monolith also has that silly hat. He just doesn't look that way because he's also a giant pharaoh man.
Right.
Havoc did not design that. Okay, we all know because of to Mutant X, that Havoc, nexus of all realities, whatever. He went into Mutant X things for a while. That we've talked about that series at length. We have our own opinions. Chuck Austin posits that actually there's only 2 Havocs in the known multiverse now.
Left.
Because one Havoc's evil.
He's been killing all the others.
Oh, no. I was going to say one Havoc's evil, and the other one has been killing all the other ones. I'm kidding. Alex is going through a lot right now. He gets possessed by evil Havoc.
Yep. And the Exiles are teleporting in to try and stop it before that. They're there because not to stop Havoc, just to stop Havoc. They're there to save the children.
No, they're there to save 2 specific children in what I would consider actually a bad move by the Talus.
The Talus is making a wild decision here, right? Because who are the
Talus
kids?
Talus wants them to save Carter Gazakanian.
Right.
And Wolf Cub. You remember Wolf Cub, right, Adam?
No, I don't, because we have not covered dominant species on this podcast yet.
You don't remember Wolf Cub from Mark Guggenheim's Young X-Men or Chamber number 1?
He, I believe, first appears in Chamber number 1, right? I think that's where he does
first appear in Chamber. Then his second appearance is in Exiles. Then he becomes a background character that often actually shows up in the new X-Men bus blown up era.
Okay. All right.
Then he joins Young X-Men and is promptly murdered.
Oof, brutal. That stinks.
It's okay. Listen.
Because, or
not New X-Men, Young X-Men. Young X-Men was a bad book, though. It is bad that a character who's nothing, is murdered, but we have to deal with Ink and Grey Malkin. Ink, who's a bad character, and Grey Malkin, who's a character who they've never found anything actually interesting to do with.
This sounds a lot like Marky Googs making some moves. Am I right?
Man, Googs and his moves. The funniest thing they've ever done with Wolf Cub is when Steve Orlando, for one issue, made some new Dark Riders on Krakoa and had him on a team with Mammo Max and Shark Girl. That's great.
Man, Steve Orlando just always loves a cameo.
Steve, again, me and him do not always agree on what constitutes
those brainwaves.
We are locked into the same frequency so much. No, Nick Gleason is not a good or interesting character. What he is a werewolf boy.
Yes, and
Nick Gleason's from Cleveland. That's upsetting to me.
Got issues with Cleveland?
I mean,
what's your beef?
Okay, I'm going to get on this soapbox. People use Ohio as the butt of a lot of jokes in America, which is fine. Ohio deserves a lot of it. Ohio is still also the 7th most populous state and actually has a huge amount of things to do.
Sure.
Compared to anywhere else. And no one believes me when I say that Ohio has some of the best zoos, amusement parks, aquariums, all of that stuff in the United States.
So are you positing that Cleveland does indeed rock?
No, and that's because, and we're not getting into this on the podcast, I have a long-standing vendetta against the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, think it's a bad institution that is at minimum insulting to the entirety of rock and roll.
I'm right there with you. Right there with you on that.
Adam, I despise the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay.
I've been there, I've walked through the exhibits, and I said, I reject this. I reject the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So,
I appreciate when people get nominated and reject it. I think that's always.
My 2 favorite things about when people actually get nominated is 1, when they nominate it and reject it, and 2, when they nominate it and they don't get nominated, they don't reject it. They say, "I have no idea why the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame would want me, Dolly Parton, to be part of it."
And people just don't show up. I like that too.
Oh no, Dolly Parton did show up and sang Jolene with Rob Halford from Judas Priest, which I appreciated.
Wow.
Actually.
Hey, cool. Yeah, that's great.
The thing about Rob Halford from Judas Priest is he has an amazing set of pipes. So actually killed it pretty good.
Wow.
Again, hate the institution.
Yeah, I will say a character that is not inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is Maximum Lobo.
Okay, so we haven't covered dominant species. Here's a high level on one of the underappreciated bizarre Chuck Austin arcs.
I mean, it's weird. So
It's
please.
weird, but it's not. It's weird for new and different things, and not weird for messing with characters that anyone has
Yes.
cared about since. And that's the
very
biggest
true.
difference. In Dominant Species, Warren Worthington finds out that one part of his business, Worthington Industries, has been run by a group of werewolves.
Right.
And the werewolves fight them and think that they're going to be the dominant species on the Earth. Honestly, none of this is tied to Romulus, which is buck wild.
Crazy.
Because they will do that in a few years later with Romulus as the wolf people. Oh my gosh, stop doing that, guys. Stop doing master races of wolf people. Anyway, and I'm going to say this with all of the love and respect if this is your flavor of lifestyle. I'm just saying this as a comparison and a value judgment. Not a value judgment, just a comparison so we understand the art. Clayton Henry draws all of the dominant species, Maximus Lobo, all of them, as some of the horniest furry art that Marvel has ever gotten away with. I am talking, these wolves are packing.
They sure are. They don't just have, some longer fur in their groins. They really do have some furry appendages down there. So
there's like,
yeah, there is.
They're hanging dong in this. That's all there is to it. That's not an exaggeration. There's a double page spread that's like 40% wolf dong, and I'm like,
these wolves are just getting thrown
that.
around page to page, and a lot of it is spread eagle, and Clayton Henry is not shying away from that area. So there's
a heavy focus. It's distracting.
Yeah, if you're into
what is this doing in my X-Men comic?
If you're into furry stuff and maybe you have a fursona, probably want to check this out. It's probably right up your alley.
Maybe it won't be. I don't really understand.
I don't know either.
I don't know how any of that works. You do you. Live your best life. I do think this is a buck wild comic because it has those two things going in parallel. The furry wolves and the evil havoc.
Mm-hmm.
It's got both of them going. They don't really intersect all that much or combine. And the Exiles have to show up. You get weird things in the Exiles, mostly just Nocturne, TJ Wagner meeting her dad and him be like, "Oh, interesting."
Yeah,
that's
I
neat.
mean, he's at once saying, "Don't call me dad," and then by the end of the arc being like, "Oh, this is nice. I like having you as a daughter,"
I've never understood this one weird beat of here's Kurt's daughter that with the Scarlet Witch that
well,
I don't
that's
get
the
it.
other funny part is that he's like, "Wait, so I'm your dad. Who's your mom? Scarlet Witch. Okay. Oh yeah, she's cute. Maybe I should give her a call." And it's like, "No, Chuck, no."
Okay, no, I don't think that Scarlet Witch should be like dating Kurt.
No.
I fully believe, and friend of the shows who are very into Nightcrawler can argue with me on this. But if there's any professors in Nightcrawlerology who have a different opinion, again, Anna, just let me know. But I think Kurt would be like, let's just see where this goes. Let's have some fun.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Kurt would be like, "Oh, so this is like a good play for me? Let's see. Let's just see how it goes."
Yes.
We're going to bamf out of there real quick by the end just to make sure that this TJ situation doesn't happen, but everything else, yeah, let's try it.
Oh my God. Did you just say bamf? Okay. That was great. So because it's Chuck Austin, you get a lot of Juggernaut, right?
You get a lot of Juggernaut.
Getting the weird angel
question about this.
healing blood stuff.
Why are they not bringing up how Juggernaut was on the original Exiles or the all new Exiles? I guess he was on.
I don't know. Is it not this? Isn't it the 616 Juggernaut? Or no?
Yeah, bud.
Pretty weird.
They threw him, Sienna Blaze, Reaper, and freaking Black Knight into the Ultraverse.
Clearly, Chuck Austin had not read that and did not remember that because that is not a thing that happens here.
Man, if this comic would have referenced the Ultraverse, it would have gone up 100 spots. It doesn't happen though.
Yeah, maybe that's why. I don't know. That's a good question. Weird stuff with magic.
It is weird that for the 2000s, Chuck Austin was the preeminent writer of Ileana Rasputin.
Yeah,
that's just weird.
She's just a rascal. So, I mean, aside from the wolf anatomy, Clayton Henry's drawing in a very, very cartoony style that I don't know if it helps or hinders this comic. I mean, it looks a lot better than what I see in most Chuck Austen Uncanny X-Men arcs, but it also kind of takes me out of the story a little bit. I don't know. I mean, this
It doesn't gel. It doesn't gel with what they're doing here. It feels a little off. I'm glad they're taking artistic risks. It's something that, you know, whatever your feelings are around this era of Marvel editorial, they were expanding what you could do from an art standpoint, and I think that's
I think Clayton
fantastic.
Henry is talented. I actually like the art. I just don't know if it's the best pairing for this particular story, because this
What would
story
be a
is
better
just weird.
pairing?
I have
What
no
would be a
idea.
better pairing? No, I want to make a very strict comparison because you get this in the covers of this arc. Clayton Henry's stuff or Dale Keon's incredibly weird Wolverine cover that couldn't be more 2003.
Yeah. The less said about Dale Keown, the better, as he is.
Oh,
Made
my
his way over
understanding
to
is
the
he's a crazy person now.
very much, and has made his way over to the Comics Gate.
Oh, Clayton
world.
Henry. Clayton Henry has done a lot of stuff later, actually. I was trying to remember where I've seen him before, but yeah, he does a bunch of stuff later that I think is pretty decent.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's very talented.
Oh, he does literally the next arc of Exiles after that Chris Claremont one we just read.
Oh, okay. So he comes back. Great.
Yeah, good for him.
I like this better than the Claremont one that we just ranked.
I mean,
no, I thought this was more fun. It was just silly, and it had like silly wolf people who were naked, and that was
this
funny.
this one is just so dumb. Is the thing?
Yeah,
it's all dumb.
I feel like our appreciation of like Chuck Austen dumbness has like the dumbosity has kind of like raised in our estimation. So maybe I'm giving it too much credit.
I mean, it's dumb. It's dumb, but you know, at $5.95 is X-Men 1-4 Age of Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I like the Age of Apocalypse brand of dumb more than this.
Yeah, you're probably right. And
at $5.98 is the Champions War of the Realm issue, which I think I like better than this.
All right, then let's work our way down a little bit.
Hey, is it also weird that Champions War of the Realm issue is somehow incredibly important to whatever's going to happen to Kamala Khan in the next few months?
Man, I don't even want to get into it. It's so dumb. It really is. You know, this whole bit where they're going to
Cyclops is really sad about his friend Kamala, who he's thought about once in his adult life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that for him. Honestly, that's great. I get all my... I love that for the fictional character Cyclops.
629 is the Trial of Juggernaut. I think this is better than that.
Yes. This is better than the Trial of Juggernaut. That's a great comparison point. Another story with wolves. Is this better than Wolverine Reign of Terror? I don't think it is. Reign of Terror looks better.
I don't know. I'm ambivalent. Sure. I think Reign of Terror looks better. So let's give that the edge. I would rather reread Cyberforce X-Men at 623.
I would rather reread Magneto War.
Uh-huh.
What about X-Men Volume 2, number 1/2, The Thrall?
That's got that Ringo art. I think that's probably better.
It does have that Ringo art. This is better than The Extremists, right?
Yes. All right. So this is going to be our new 626 Exiles and the Uncanny X-Men Unnatural Instincts.
Let's talk about a different unnatural instinct, and that is the unnatural instinct for us to talk about a recent comic.
Oh, okay. So
we just don't do it. There's more old ones.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, there's a lot of Exiles to talk about. There's actually 3 volumes, so we might as well.
That's not even counting any all new Exiles or new Exiles or books that are Exiles without the name Exiles because they thought that they could sell it better with the name X-Men.
That's a very good point. So this is technically Exiles Volume 3, 1-5.
Again, not counting any of the volumes of the Ultra verse, but
I'm
go
just
off.
Saying, it's just Exiles.
I know what you're doing, and you're doing the right thing because
so they can look it up on the wiki.
So people can look it up on the wiki. And that's what the wiki says. And I think from a publication standpoint, that's correct. But from my heart standpoint, it's incorrect because there was another group of Exiles. They were called the Ultra Force. I will not read their comics either. If someone asks us to cover Sienna Blaze as a character, we will be forced to do that though.
Yeah,
Because it's the good Chris Picciolo issue,
mm-hmm.
and then I'm sure there's a third one.
Yeah, I actually have Chris Biccialo plans on my idea list. So
On Adam's idea list, good. We'll get to talk about comics we like.
Yeah,
that's my favorite part of this show, and when we get to talk about things we like.
Hey, I like this comic quite a bit. This is
I think the art in this comic is top notch.
It's out of this world. So we're talking about Saladin Ahmed on the writing duties and Javier Rodriguez on art, but with colors by Jordi Belair. And we're just talking about the first five issues here.
First 5 issues of Ahmed's Exiles. Belair does the colors for the first issue. Mm-hmm. And actually, Chris O'Halloran does the colors for 2 through 4.
Oh, okay.
And Rodriguez colors himself on 5. Oh, and I bring that up because it was something I noticed throughout this book, because maybe it's just his recent stuff that have been more quote unquote prestige series. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, I think of Javier Rodriguez coloring himself more than anything else. So I was finding it odd when he wasn't coloring himself on the first few issues of this. Like, he was doing that for History of the Marvel Universe recently, Defenders Beyond, most of his stuff on Spider-Woman, he colored himself. Like, I was just used to, he's a guy who knows what he wants. And Jordi Belair is one of the best colorists out there. But I think if you compare, there's one page in Exiles #1 that Javier Rodriguez colors.
Right.
And the palette and the choices he uses are very different than what Belair would do.
Yep.
And they are very different than what Chris O'Halloran does is a lot closer to what Rodriguez does. Where Rodriguez tends to be a lot flatter with his colors. He doesn't worry about gradients, and it's more of a pop art sensibility. And it's not that Belair doesn't understand that by any means. She gets it, but she's still adding like her touches to it, which are, a few more of the gradient stuff, a few more. It looks more like a polished comic that, like, it's colored more like a standard Marvel comic, where Chris O'Halloran colors it more like a Javier Rodriguez comic, and then by issue 5, Javier Rodriguez colors it like a Javier Rodriguez comic.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what Javier does when he's coloring himself, it's very bright. He's very into sort of neon clashing colors, and the
super
first
saturated pages.
Yeah, the first issue in particular does feel more muted than the rest. And by the time he's coloring himself, it's very, very big and bold. But you can totally understand why Javier is not coloring himself, because so much work is going into these 5 issues. This is
Javier Rodriguez does not get paid. And I will tell you, Javier Rodriguez does not get paid enough for the amount of work he does on every single page of comics he's ever drawn.
Yeah. And we are in the midst of the #ComicsBrokeMe thing on Twitter. And
are we?
Yeah, the horror stories that have been coming out of that are absolutely awful. But when you see comics work like the kind that Javier is putting down, and you think about what page rates are, you just have to imagine that whatever he's getting paid, not enough, because the amount of detail and work. And you'll notice we have not talked about the story at all yet, and we will get into it, but I want to just highlight a 2-page spread from issue 4. So
is it the Juggernautical spread?
The Juggernautical. So in issue 4, the team of Exiles that's here runs into the Thing, who has time traveled back to be Blackbeard's ghost, like in Fantastic Four.
It wasn't Blackbeard's ghost; it was actual Blackbeard. But go
right.
Off.
So the Exiles attack this pirate ship who's being captained by Captain Gyrich, because the universes are all collapsing. Anyway,
they're fighting slave traders.
I would just like to point out that anyone who would like to see what comic books are capable of in terms of this whole idea of movement across the page, in terms of how to actually use panels and place them in such a way that you could actually be telling up to 5 to 10 different stories on the page at the same time. It is masterful what he does with just those 2 pages and a very minimum number of actual panels, but it is astounding how many different characters are highlighted on those pages. You know exactly what happens to each of them, and it is just spectacular work.
He is stupid good.
It's
He is
so good.
stupid good.
All right,
It's
so
frustrating.
story?
Well, so, and this is the problem with a lot of recent Javier Rodriguez comics. I'll say History of the Marvel Universe was not a narrative, was not intended to be a narrative. They should release that book without words, frankly.
Sure.
Just be a
edition.
poster book.
Let's go.
Artist edition. Exiles here is loose. And when I say loose, it is a new collection of characters jumping to a new world at least once, if not multiple times an issue.
Yep.
So when I was talking earlier about what I like about Exile, or when I think Exiles works, you get neither of those extremes here. You don't get a lot of time to spend with these new characters, and you don't get any real time on any of these universes. You get minutes of, hey, what would a pirate world look like? What would a Marvel Puzzle Quest's Captain Carter America world look like? Marvel Puzzle Quest did come first.
Right.
In a wild choice. The team doesn't even, and this is actually a very common problem with a lot of Marvel or superhero books that are only going to be a short run, or potentially only be a short run when you're building a new team and you spend most of the first arc getting the team together, then they don't have a chance to actually be a team. Well, this kind of happens here because the team of Exiles is Blink, who's back. Great new redesign, honestly. Like the Age of Apocalypse look, I get it, but this works a lot better for Blink.
Well, and it's also honoring her roots. You know, it's rethinking where the character came from and allowing her to kind of reconnect, you know, with her home.
Yeah, she has natural hair. It's fantastic. She looks great. Like,
yeah,
she just looks cool in
it's
this.
a very cool design.
She looks 2018 cool in a way that Blink looked 1995 cool in Age of Apocalypse.
Yes, absolutely. Who else we got?
We got Khan.
Yep.
It's angry cable version of Kamala Khan. Actually, yep. I think this is the best work Saladin Ahmed has ever done with Kamala Khan.
She's a real badass here. We also have
Iron Lad, who is of course a Kang,
which is important because the villain of this story is the Time Eater, who is another version of Kang.
It's Kang. It's a, hey, we've got a story about time stuff. Kang's here, I guess.
Kang.
No one cares. Here's the thing. The Marvel Universe was absolutely, positively insane to say, well, let's build our next big change of pop culture around Kang, a character who they haven't written a good story about yet. And Jack Kirby's tried.
It's a wild choice.
It's a wild choice. But this is not Iron Lad from the Young Avengers. This is a slightly different Iron Lad.
Right.
There's also a new Valkyrie, who is Valkyrie from Thor Ragnarok.
Pretty much. And
not the Valkyrie from Thor Ragnarok that is in Marvel Comics now.
No.
This is a early attempt. No, this is an early attempt to do movie Tessa Thompson Valkyrie.
It works.
She's great. Actually, she's among the best characters, as is Wolvie.
Wolvie.
Adam.
Yes.
You know where Wolvie comes from, right?
Well, Wolvie is not an X-Baby. That's really important to make that distinction.
No, he's one of the adorable X-Babies that were created in the X-Babies miniseries to not be one of the X-Babies, to be one of the special, like, even cuter versions of the X-Babies that are family friendly. Right. I love that Wolvie is here.
Wolvie is great because Wolvie doesn't understand death. Wolvie doesn't understand fighting. He doesn't understand killing. And he just brings this like real sense of innocence and fear to this story. I think the other fun thing about it is because not only does Javier do a great job with this character, but the colorists have a chance to really just make him look like a cel-shaded piece of flat art from an animated series, and it works
Mhm.
so well. It's so
Which
much
is
fun.
especially because he doesn't show up in Belair's issue, does show up in what O'Halloran and Rodriguez are doing. And again, those guys are already doing a pretty flat style.
Mm-hmm.
So to have Wolvie be so distinct, like that is they put some thought and effort into it. And I want to make sure that Rodriguez gets his credit too, because he's drawing Wolvie different than everyone else. And it
Yes.
works.
I also like Rodriguez's insane visual design of the Time Eater Kang, who's basically just Kang like with his chest bursting with sparks and got Galactus helmet. It looks awesome.
Jeez, he's so good.
Yeah,
He's so stinking
so
good.
The other thing,
the story's kind of bland though.
The story is fine. I think what's always great about using Javier here is just to let him world hop, let him. The Defenders does a very similar thing, just not as quickly as this, but we get little little visions of a hippie commune run by Namor. We're getting this like World War II thing where all the characters are women. It's just popping through all of these different universes in rapid succession, and it's allowing him to kind of flex. And I can't be angry about that because it looks amazing.
I can't be angry about that. What does bother me is like there's certain stories that it feels like Ahmed wants the space to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically the pirate slave story that he's doing. He wants the space for that, and he takes that whole issue for it. But that doesn't jive. That kind of one-shot adventure thing doesn't jive with the story that he's already set up. So from a narrative momentum standpoint, this is a really good bottle, but it slows down everything that he'd built up for the previous 3 issues of this is kind of a madcap journey through a bunch of different things. When you stop to do this, you stop to do the Captain Carter stuff. It doesn't click. Another thing that doesn't click for me is Nick Fury and his whole role in this.
Well, it's interesting. My guess is that Saladin Ahmed is a big fan of What If, because each issue starts with a Watcher-like introduction to the issue, very similar to What If. But it's the unseen, which is Nick Fury's post-original Sin, like stuck on the moon deal, right?
Hey, question, Adam. Do you know what Nick Fury's current deal is?
I have no idea. Isn't he like the ultimate Nick Fury now?
No, that's his son.
Oh, it's his son.
Duh. That's Nick Fury Jr.
Okay.
How do you not know that? Nick Fury Jr. and his best friend Cheese.
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. That's Nick Fury Jr. Nick Fury Sr. was the unseen on the moon, but in Reckoning War, or the lead up to Reckoning War, he turned into regular Nick Fury because Uatu the Watcher came back through the eyeball that Nick Fury was using to be a Watcher.
Oh, fun.
Then he didn't do anything, and Marvel realized they still can't have 2 Nick Furies around. And sent Nick Fury into another dimension where he can do Nick Fury adventures just off screen where we can't see them.
Fun. I mean, not for readers, but I will say the Nick Fury stuff is the weak link here. Like the
really
way that it's seeded, it seems like the 5th issue is going to make sure that makes sense, how he's popping up in different places, and it doesn't actually make sense. And you know what? I don't really care.
An issue, yeah.
Don't really care. It's fine. So at the end, they all get a chance to go back to the Bahamas with Blink, and
except for Kamala, who sacrifices herself to save everybody.
Yeah, Khan does die.
Fun fact: she's not really dead.
No, but
she comes back later.
It's a very Exiles thing for something like that to happen. So
there is also a big section of this about Blink finding her original Exiles. And they are seeding that plot.
Yeah, Sabretooth pops up here. The AOA Sabretooth.
Yeah. But that's all.
This is fun. I enjoyed reading this a lot. And I think that just from the artwork alone, I mean, you're absolutely right about the pacing, right? If this was a Exiles Volume 1, this could be a whole year worth of Exiles, right? This is 12 issues worth of like worlds and stories. We'd probably get an arc in every single world. But we've got Javier for 5 issues. He's going to make the most of it, and I had an enjoyable time reading this. So this is definitely the best thing we read today.
Oh yeah. It's the best thing we read today. No doubt in my mind. I just I didn't read this series when it was coming out. I fell off because I was like, this is really pretty. I don't care about anything that's happening in this though.
I am
think
excited
that's the
to
problem.
keep going though, because Rod Reese jumps on the next arc.
Rod Reese, I haven't
artwork is stunning.
reread the Rod Reese stuff in a bit, or anything past. I haven't reread anything of Exiles since it came out. I almost want to look at it again. Like, if I'm bored, I'm like, oh, well, let's flip through this. Let's see what's going on with Blink.
Yeah, I think we got good stuff happening here. So we mentioned X Babies with Wolvie, and the X Babies miniseries is at 428. I don't know.
Better than the X Babies miniseries.
I think we're at least there, right? Like, I don't know if we're a 300s book here, but we could be.
I don't know if we're a 3. I don't think we're a 300s book as I look at what's at 300s, because at 399 is Excalibur 62 to 65, Return of the Warpies, another book that I would argue is incredibly gorgeous and maybe doesn't make sense from a plotting standpoint.
Yeah, I don't know,
but it's a similar like maximalist energy.
I don't know. I'm just looking at what's around here, and I think this is better than all of this stuff, though. Like,
do you think this is better than?
This is better than X-Men Gold, the 2013 special at 393. Like, this is better than that.
Okay, yeah, no, you're not.
I'm not talking going super high. Like, I don't think this is better than God's Country at 372.
No, it's not better than God's Country. I'm gonna put a ceiling. I don't think this is better than Sabretooth in Charge.
385. Yeah, that's Weapon X 17 to 21. I agree.
That's when he gets a tiger.
Yep.
I was thinking about that today. I was thinking about man, remember when Sabretooth got a tiger? That ruled. Why was I thinking? Oh no, I was thinking about Omega Red stories because Adam, you know this, but our listeners don't. We had a vacation this weekend and we went to a cabin that had a video game system that was playing Marvel superheroes versus Street Fighter, and my son played Omega Red and continued to beat me with one of Omega Red's throws just constantly. Like, I didn't have enough time to recover. It took me a few games. I figured out how to defend it. I just had to be more aerial and a little bit more aggressive on this and watch for the signals that he was actually going to send that out. Turns out, I guess that's why you study frame rate data in fighting games. I don't know. I'm very bad at them. But I was thinking like, man, I wonder how much Omega Red's actually been in. The answer, not much.
Oh, comic book wise? No.
Yeah, they should do more with Omega Red. Ben Percy. You should make him like the center of a big story. Ben Percy. He did that.
All right, here's what I'm going to say then. Right below that, 386 is the first 3 issues of X-Men 2099. And right below that is 387 Secret Avengers number 16. I think this is better than that Secret Avengers comic for sure. How do you think about it, versus our beloved X-Men 2099?
I'm going to say it's better because of the Javier Rodriguez art.
Absolutely. All right, so this is going to be our new 386. And again, if you'd like a masterclass in what comics can do, definitely check out the artwork in this.
Literally, just read everything Javier Rodriguez has put out.
Yeah.
It's so freaking good.
Check it all out.
Hey, that's the episode. Good job, everybody.
Good job, everybody.
I want to thank Jerry. Jerry, thanks for these stories.
Thanks, Jerry.
Patreon.com/comicsxf if you want to do that. Yeah. Adam, what do you got going on?
Folks can follow me on Instagram at adam.rec or on Twitter at Arthur Stacy. And we know not to try and find you online.
Never. Listen,
never do it.
I'm just throwing this out here. I know some of you have tried. I've seen this person has followed you on Instagram. And I'm like, folks.
Yeah.
This is where I post pictures of my kids.
Yeah, don't do that.
So I'm reiterating.
It's not a comics Instagram. Be cool out there, people. Be cool.
Just you be chill. Yeah. Just be chill.
You want that Boda news?
Here's what you follow Adam for the Boda news.
That's it.
Or if you want to know what books I'm reading, you know what? Don't follow me there. Follow me on Goodreads, a thing I'm using now. That's fine if you want to see what books I'm reading.
That counts as social media.
Does it count as social media?
Sure. It's like my Letterboxd, it's still social.
Follow me on Goodreads. Follow Adam on Letterboxd. Nowhere else. We will not be posting Boda updates there.
No Boda updates on Letterboxd.
You may be able to get our esoteric references better.
Yeah. So Zach, I'm looking at the spreadsheet and I noticed that I don't know what we're doing next week.
I have no idea what we're doing next week either. It says Zach's pick.
It does say Zach's pick, which I'm very excited about because the possibilities are endless. So,
I mean, they aren't endless. There's like 14 possibilities on our list of Zach's picks.
I think any one of them would be very exciting for our listeners. So I hope they tune in next week.
You know what? I'm going to call it, Adam. I'm going to call it right now.
We're getting an audible?
We're getting an audible. I'm going to give you a pick right here live, Adam.
Oh, I get to pick?
You get to pick.
That doesn't make sense. It's your pick.
You know what? No, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to post this exclusively for our patrons. Our patrons will exclusively get to vote on next week's episode.
I like that.
Between two choices of Zach's picks.
Okay.
Here are the
These are great.
Here are the selections.
Yep.
We're going to start the first Zach's picks as like an easy, we understand the concept before we get weird.
Okay.
Avengers plus X-Men. Stories where the Avengers and the X-Men are together.
Okay.
Note, these stories were all picked because I want to talk about them and I found a way to theme these things. Or weird stuff from the IVX era that I also want to talk about.
Buckle up, people. This is going to happen more often because this is the attitude boditude era. So
it's all about us now, baby.
That's right.
We are calling it. We're doing that. So patrons, go do that. If you want to be a patron, go support it.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm just when I put up the episode, I'm gonna put up the poll.
Love it.
And it will be for patrons only. I'm pretty sure I can do polls on Patreon. If I can't, this is wild. I know I can. So that's what we're doing next week. The Spin Battle of the Atom. We hope you survive the experience.
Get it!